Welcome to my new calculus channel. My name is John Gabriel, and today I'll be speaking about a topic that is very dear to my heart. Ignore the patch on my right eye. It's offline again today for some reason, but I'm able to make this video, I think, and yeah, so I'm going to talk about what it means to be irrational. Really, it means having no measure. Okay, so irrational means a ratio in which the aliquot parts have no common measure. So I've written a new article and I'm going to go over some of the main points of it and give you a link so that you could study it in your own time. So let's begin. Now, in the modern Greek language, we refer to a rational number as ritos arithmos. Okay. Now the word rito or ritos, ritos is just an adjective, but rito can be a noun, and it means explicit or spoken or recited. So rational numbers are explicit or spoken numbers, meaning they are ratios of common measures. Now I know I have told you this before, but it's so important, and it forms the basis of the definition of number from scratch. Okay, a number is the name given to a measure that describes a size. So, by definition, a ratio is a comparison of homogeneous magnitudes or sizes. Now, the Greek word for homogeneous is homogeneous, which comes from two words, homeo and genes, and which both respectively mean similar generation or similar type. And so such were the first types of ratios. They were defined as a comparison of the antecedent and consequent magnitudes. So for example, if you were given the ratio P to Q, which literally means P compared to Q, P is the antecedent and Q is the consequent. So it's customary to measure the antecedent P using the consequent Q, but not actually necessary as long as one measures the others or there is some common measure that measures both. Then it is a ratio that can be called a number by graduating this notation to P over Q. Okay, so P over Q with the vinculum in between is the number. I'll give an example shortly. So, since number is defined by a ratio of commensurable magnitudes, such numbers are called rational numbers. Suppose we have this ratio, this line here compared to this line. Okay, and now notice you can derive all the so-called 5 requirements, not postulates in Euclid's Elements, from nothing. They are not axioms, by the way. And in my free eBook, I tell you how to do that. And you can read up on that there in your own time. So this is a rational number because this little line here that you see measures both of these lines. Okay, so we call or speak this ratio here or number 1/2 or just 1/2. It's very important to note that when writing this ratio, we only have a ratio of magnitudes, not yet a number. So we can only write a half once it has been established that a common measure, this common measure here, exists for both the aliquot parts, in other words, the antecedent and the consequent. So now, at which time this ratio of magnitudes that you see where I'm pointing up here graduates to a rational number. Okay, so we could write 1 over 2. Okay, So there's a special group of rational numbers called the natural numbers, which are all ratios such that both the aliquot parts of these ratios are measured by a chosen magnitude called the unit. And of course, the unit magnitude becomes a rational number when compared to itself. And that's what you'll find in Book 7 and Definition 1 of Euclid. For example, if we choose this little line here as the magnitude, we can choose any magnitude we like, then the unit is denoted by this magnitude compared to itself. So it does have a common measure. This ratio does have a common measure, any of the aliquot parts, okay? Now, the magnitudes with no common measure are called asymmetra, which basically means asymmetric, and no common measure or incommensurate with each other if you're anal retentive. So since these magnitudes cannot be measured by a chosen magnitude, they are called incommensurable magnitudes. Now, excuse me, ratios of these magnitudes cannot be called numbers if they have no common measure. So take, for example, the ratio of circumference to diameter. We know this special ratio by the name pi. But is pi a number? Of course not, because in order for this here to graduate to a number, both these aliquot parts need to have a common measure, but they don't have a common measure, right? We know that. We can prove that pi cannot be written as a ratio of natural numbers. So we realize pi when we attempt to measure the circumference of any circle using its diameter. The expressions alogos or aritos arithmos, unspeakable number, are not quite the same thing. Alogos always refers to magnitudes, never numbers. But since no number can be formed from such ratios, they don't exist and are hence unspeakable. Very logical, isn't it? So that means their aliquot parts have no common measure. The phrase irrational number is in fact an oxymoron because irrational implies no measure and hence no number or rational number, because the only true numbers are the rational numbers. There is no such thing as an irrational number. Now, I want to point out that in the Elements, in Book 10, when it begins talking about these magnitudes, we see in the third definition, arti is a Greek word for definitions, okay, and it can also mean boundary or limit. And of course, the Greeks were very preoccupied with well-formed concepts, so they wanted to define the dimensions and the extents and the boundaries very carefully. So what we see here is this last phrase, which says asymmetry aloi kalis thosan. Okay, that means asymmetric, irrational are called. That's just the way that ancient Greek was spoken. So such magnitudes are called asymmetric, irrational. Never is it anywhere in the Elements stated that there's such a thing as an irrational number. Irrational refers to a ratio in which the aliquot parts have no common measure, okay? Now, none of the mainstream academics in the last 2,500 years understood these things. I am the first to reveal these things to you and giving you a simple way to understand. Mainstream academics with math PhDs and years of experience don't understand these things. They're actually in a world of their own, which I basically call the world of la-la individuals. Okay, they're all a bunch of morons. And they refuse to be corrected. So they will try to replace the Greek foundations. They have tried to replace them. And unfortunately, you find that set theory, ZFC, and topology and real analysis are all part of math courses, but they're not really mathematics. Okay. The foundations of mathematics are Euclid's Elements. Now, so to summarize what I've been telling you, irrational means having no measure. Okay? So we can talk about what is a rational number, but the minute we try to talk about an irrational number, that is an oxymoron, okay? Because irrational implies no measure and hence no number. Now, that's all I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm going to now show you another site here where all my videos are backed up. Okay, it's this site, which is the library site. It backs up all the YouTube videos because YouTube has a very unfair policy of striking videos that it thinks do not conform to them. Okay, but every video that I upload to YouTube, before it gets caught by the fools who run YouTube or one of their stupider AIs, it will be copied over to the library site. So it's probably a better idea to subscribe to this site, to this library site here, where you see the link here, because this will always have all my videos. And of course, YouTube loves to strike out videos. They've already taken down 2 of my videos for apparently inappropriate content. But I don't see how mathematics can be inappropriate content. Okay, that's pretty much it for now. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my library channel. I don't really care about BitChute anymore because it doesn't seem to be as featureful as library and YouTube. And of course, I don't trust YouTube. So library is the best place to come to for all my videos. So I'm gonna leave you with that. My name is John Gabriel. This is the New Calculus channel. Become a subscriber, spread the news. And I hope that some future time again, I'll be able to give you a different perspective of something else that's very important in mathematics, and to help you come to a knowledge of the truth, which I think is very important if you need to understand or to gain a profound understanding in mathematics. Till next time, goodbye.